Welcome to Mastercard's 28 Minutes to COP28 podcast series. This is a series which is dedicated to exploring important topics related to ESG with a goal to offer a very fresh insight beyond the conventional discussions. I am Andrea Pražáková and I lead Mastercard Foundry, ESG and Gaming in Eastern Europe, Middle East and Africa. And I am your very honored to be your host for the next 28 minutes. Today's topic is super interesting. We will be talking about the future of a clean energy. And, you know, if you think about it, we as a Mastercard, obviously, this is super important topic for us because we have nearly 180 facilities worldwide. And prioritizing renewable energy and energy efficiency programs is pivotal for us because for us, it represents 50% of our energy consumption. So currently all Mastercard-owned properties in US are equipped with solar panels and all our properties worldwide are LED certified. And in the long term, obviously, our objective is to achieve net zero greenhouse emission by 2040, including emission through our value chain. So while many of us are very familiar with the concept of renewable energy, it's also essential to understand a little bit of history. So before I introduce you to my absolute incredible guest, I just want to highlight, and I'm sure you will be surprised when it all started. And I was surprised myself when I did the research for it because the journey actually commenced in 1839 in France, where a French physicist discovered photovoltaic effect, which laid the foundation for solar cells. And then about and we are 184 years later, right, in 2023. Then in Austria in 1878, we saw the first hydro plant. And I think that before even that, there was a first hydro plant, which was in Niagara, using Niagara Falls, right? And there were things happening in Denmark in 1881, where was the first wind farm. Then Italy in 1908, where was the first geothermal plant. And we can go on and on. I think that there was a big area around the 1970s where was the oil crisis and the interest in the renewable energy was really, really spiked, right? And we saw the rise of commercial solar, wind power plants, and it really turned the whole focus from fossil fuel to alternative. And if we fast forward to 2000s, the investments into the renewable solar energy really soared, leading innovation in wind and floating solar even, and by 2010, renewable becomes the world's fastest growing source of electricity and for our generation. But today, only approximately 30% of the global electricity is generated from renewable sources. And some countries do very well, some countries are not so good, and we will talk about it today a little bit. I have to say that my own country, Czech Republic, is doing so poorly. I think I need to send something on LinkedIn so that they improve, because they are about 22%, and we're definitely not the leaders. But today I have this great privilege to have with me a distinguished guest, a person who I deeply admire, and I feel extremely honored too that he accepted my invitation to join Mastercard podcast, His Excellency Dr. Abdullah Belhaif Al Nuaimi. So His Excellency is a global leader in the climate change and sustainability. With his distinguished career spanning across engineering, academia, and government, his whole journey includes serving as a UAE Minister of Climate Change Environment for 2020-2021, and he played pivotal role in steering the nation's ambitions towards combat climate change and safeguarding the ecosystem. Before he was Minister of Climate Change, His Excellency held several prominent positions within the UAE government as a Minister of Infrastructure Development, Under Secretary of Minister of Public Affairs. His extensive background also encompasses engineering laws in general aviation and Ministry of Electricity. So it's everywhere. It's absolutely fascinating. He's also visiting professor of the Higher College of Technology in Dubai, to obviously a big supporter of mentorship and education. He holds PhD in construction management and also earned bachelor degrees in mechanical engineering. So I could talk for so long, but I don't want to steal the thunder and I don't want to steal the time from you. So Your Excellency, please very well welcome to this podcast. I'm super happy that you've been able to join today.
Thank you very much, Andrea, for such a great introduction. And I am very pleased to be part of the program that you produce to enlighten people about the impact of climate change. And this is very essential. Very few programs programs that can reach people and speak about the ability of climate in hindering our life and making it terrible.
You know, when I followed you and all the interviews you did, often people jump straight into the topic of clean energy or hydrogen or whatever topic is agreed. But I want to start on a personal touch because your passion towards sustainability is really infectious, and I want to know what was your moment in your career on your journey where where it really began for you, where you said, this is the area I want to be in and I want to drive massive impact in sustainability.
You made a great introduction in the history, and I have never been asked a question like this, and I should thank you for it. My interaction with sustainability was during my childhood. I lived in a small town, a coastal town in the United Arab Emirates in Sharjah, and in that I have actually practiced and lived, and where I was born, in a sustainable life. During that time, we, in that particular area, and maybe in the whole United Arab Emirates, we have coast and non-coast.
Mm-hmm.
During the winter, we live on the coast where the breeze is good, and our life generally is built on what we see in the sea.
Mm-hmm.
And during summertime, this area is too humid, and people probably build new camps for certain area just to cool themselves down.
Mm-hmm.
Some people go to the mountains, some people go to the desert.
Right.
In my town, in my little town, the coastal town is called Al Hira. It is a very historical place. We only have to build our camps about 3 miles away from the coast, and then we enjoy
Mm-hmm.
A bit of cool during night.
Mm-hmm.
During this time, I have actually lived, not only heard about the sustainability. The 5 aspects of sustainability were there during that time, where we really enjoy the sharing of information. We also enjoy the equality.
Mm-hmm.
We also enjoy the ability of sharing things.
Mm-hmm.
We enjoy also conservation of biodiversity.
Right.
Where people, if they fish, they don't have that greediness in fishing.
Mm-hmm.
They take their part. If they want to grow trees, they grow it within a limit, and they leave the rest for the others. That's where I have seen
That's
all
fascinating.
sustainability and so forth. And then I migrated to be an engineer, and then I did what I did for the roads, and in that, for the construction, how do we save in emissions when we build constructions? So that was the time when I had to really learn how to practice conservation of emissions.
Yeah.
Till the year when I went into having the climate change ministry, and there I learned things that about my country, where we are in conserving the conservation of the environment, and what the United Arab Emirates do to really be part of this global initiatives.
I want to build on what you said, and thank you for sharing such a personal story, because we all shape somehow where we come from, right? And you express a really clear vision for UAE to become the global leader in development and deploying on clean energy technology. And today, countries like Norway with 99% and Iceland with almost 100% lead obviously the way. Can you elaborate on this vision? How do you see UAE's unique advantage playing the pivotal role in the clean energy?
The history of United Arab Emirates is very much helping UAE and being part of the big players on the climate change. Globally, United Arab Emirates host probably the biggest clean hub, and that is Masdar. Also hosting the IRENA, and that is hosting such entities is not easy to administer. Also, United Arab Emirates is building on their geographical location where solar is abundant, and they are capitalizing on it. And more than all of this, only yesterday, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi inaugurated one of the biggest within the region on the wind initiatives in the United Arab Emirates, where 103 megawatt of facilities to be built within United Arab Emirates. So the United Arab Emirates has that leadership that gives the ability to really be part of a global march toward clean energy, knowing that United Arab Emirates is probably the sixth or the fifth of reserved oil, a country that built all their infrastructure in oil and gas. And that is when we thought of it initially, we said, why do we have to be part of this while we are building all our life on fossil fuel? We realized later the leadership has that vision that we don't have. We know today that coal exists, and coal will exist for the next 103 years. But the technology deserted it. And now they are capitalizing on renewables. Maybe in 20 years, the technology will desert gas, will desert oil, and then you would be in somewhere where you don't have options. So
where you don't have exactly
capitalizing on what you've got. A nuclear plant in the West Coast, all over the places with the windmills, and solar. Probably the biggest solar field that would be constructed in the MENA region would actually be built in the United Arab Emirates. So that is an advantage where we really see a strategy of the next 50 years. United Arab Emirates is one of the few countries in the region that has strategy and a mix of energy that is 50% of it is non-fuel.
Yeah, that's true. I want to stay a little bit. Yeah, exactly. I want to stay a little bit on the energy and what you said, what was announced obviously in Abu Dhabi, right? The clean technologies such as solar, you mentioned it, wind, hydrogen, nuclear, have the potential to really decarbonize the energy sector and address the climate crisis, right? And we know that UAE, by leading the production in the Middle East, in 2022, I think UAE renewable energy capacity was about 2.7 gigawatts, right? And I think that the aim is, and the goal, which the current Minister of Climate Change also confirmed, is about 50 gigawatts by 2050, right? I want to understand a little bit more, how do you think, the impact of the clean energy and how it aligns? I mean, we know it aligns to the sustainability goal, but how would it change the economics in the country, right? Because obviously, if you go from the production today, you have to increase the capacity. I'm sure there will be a lot of opportunities for new jobs, new companies to be set up, but there will also other impacts. What do you see from an overall sustainability goals? What will be all the positive things which will happen by UAE actually executing on this amazing strategy for becoming the leader?
Now, if we look into sustainability and the clean energy, we really need to get the view globally. United Arab Emirates is a small country. They can do so much influence the hindrance of the climate actions. United Arab Emirates have done so much of investment beyond the border just to be globally leading the climate change era.
Right.
However, I think United Arab Emirates need to be copied. It's a great role model.
I
Yes,
agree
there are
too.
new jobs. There are new jobs that would be created. There are new disciplines that would be created. But the creation is not limited to United Arab Emirates in a border format. I think the renewable energy has to be infectious.
Yes.
Everyone should actually be participate on this. It's not enough. What we do is great, but again, we have limited resources, we have limited manpower, we have limited technology. We are not a technological hub. The technology comes from elsewhere. That is why I believe that we really need to look into the issue globally. Yes, we are a good role model. Now, Saudi is doing great as well. The area within the MENA region are really doing, I have to say that, is greater than traditional countries in Europe, where they should actually do better. Now, if we see the greatest supporter of clean energy, England, for example, only recently they have actually shifted the target of 2030 in electric vehicles into 35. So this is not it. What we should be doing, we should stick to what we have agreed on, and then we can be effective. But if we divert our interests simply because we do not look into the issue globally, we only look at it
on a country level.
It would be very difficult.
Yes, it brings me, and I really like that, and I follow your speeches. You're super vocal about this importance of international cooperation, right? And how the countries needs to, partner in order to have a real impact, and how we are not walking the talk. And I just wanted to get your view, obviously, and we know that international cooperation is really essential, right, to the transition. Can you share some of the specific areas within the international collaboration which are the most crucial, which you think are doing, really going well for now, and what are the areas where you would like to see a bigger push? I mean, you started with the country should be, when they say they do it by 2030, they should do it by 2030 and not move the target, right? And not leave it to the next generation to sort out. So what are some of the areas which you think are critical, and where did you see a great progress, and where do you have bigger expectation to move faster?
We can only move faster if we are committed. And if we are partially committed, I think that would give a chance to any country to say, I'm very sorry, I have a local issues that I have to deal with. That is, the commitment is very essential.
Right.
I think what we really need to do as well is to look into how we transfer knowledge, because so far we are not really good internationally.
That's a great point.
Knowledge transfer. We don't share our experiences. We know that some failures somewhere, particularly in the new hydrogen, for example. We know that this method has failed somewhere. Why should we keep it to that somewhere? Why don't we broadcast it and say we made something somewhere? That is, I think, essential. Third is also accelerating the clean energy. We really need to look into how do we accelerate it. Now, with the existing minerals, we find it very difficult. I have actually yesterday wrote an article to Gulf News indicating that the existing minerals are not enough for the 2030. The reserves of this is not enough. We really should be looking into diversification. We really need to look into other options. We don't want to stay at a year and then say, oh, we missed this. There is not enough nickel. There is not enough magnesium. There is not enough copper, because these are, we always assume, I am very sorry to say that, most people assume that the source is abundant. We have it all the time.
Yes.
This is unlimited. The sun is there, the water is there, the air, the wind is there. But you cannot use the sun directly to your car and make it work. You really need to have that median that could actually convert that sun into mechanical, into electrical, that heat into that. That material, we really need to look into its ability. So if we don't have, I know that the American, the USA survey have given almost a clear idea on where is the minerals that we want to use, the 4 or 5, and how much. From that data, I believe that we would not be able to cover our renewables for the next 15 years. So that is something that we have to do. Therefore, that is only, we see it within some countries, and United Arab Emirates is really doing great on this, is actually deploying investment beyond the border, because you cannot just work within your boundary line and say, I'm doing well here, because the issue is not local. The issue is global. So if it is global, I might as well produce in energy from the wind in Egypt, in Africa, in Asia, and United Arab Emirates in an initiative with United States is doing 100 billion worth of investment as a catalyst for other countries to copy. Now we don't see many copying, I'm afraid.
I think this is a really great point, and you reminded me of a book by Walter Isaacson, which he wrote about Jennifer Doudna, The Code Breaker, and they explore, the impact of COVID and how it was for the first time countries started to cooperate and exchange learnings when they started to develop the COVID vaccines, because before everybody works in their own silos. And I think what you described about, it really resonated with me, the first point you made around how nations need to partner and exchange information to speed up the process, inspire each other, and collaborate, because this is not a problem of one country, it is a global institution, right? And you touched a little bit about the investments which UAE is doing, and that is obviously closely connected with investment into new technology, and these are super essential to achieve net zero emissions. And we see a lot of these advancement, if it's from perovskite solar cells to which have a potential to revolutionize the solar industry. I mentioned solar floating panels, offshore turbines. I think you mentioned as well what UAE is doing, concentrated solar power, green hydrogen, and so on. In your perspective, in order to really boost this investment in the innovation in this critical sector, what is your point of view of what the governments need to start to do better? Because we can see that there is a lot of the private sector obviously is investing, there is a lot of development happening, but not all the countries and governments are doing. Can you maybe share, you shared the example of the investment you do in the turbines in the United States. What are some of the other activities which you feel are really powerful, and what other governments should copy, for example, from UAE?
I don't know if I can, I won't be able to speak on UAE's perspective, because there are some honorable speakers who can speak louder and speak better, and they can give more information than myself when it comes to the investment and strategies of United Arab Emirates inside and abroad. I am tackling the problem internationally, and I think that the world is not doing enough. And that is very simple to know. Not doing enough either in investment, because in Paris Agreement, there was an agreement. The developing countries endorsed that Paris Agreement in a condition that they would actually be assisted by $100 billion a year, starting from 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yes.
and I don't know how much they have received from that. So now, to mitigate the impact of climate change, you really need to not to look into how much you would be funding Pakistan, for example, or how much you would be funding Ethiopia, for example. It is not that. It is that you are protecting yourself by really making everyone on board.
Right.
Today, we see that. Unfortunately, we don't see those countries who benefited the most from oil and gas, from fossil fuel. They are not doing enough. I heard an interview of an ex-prime minister of England saying that there are 3 countries that they have to bear the cost. And he called for Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and one of the Scandinavian countries. Now, why should they? It's a global issue, and where we reached is not a Saudi issue. No, for sure it's not, and it is not United Arab Emirates issue. For sure it's not. It is a global issue, and the industrial countries have participated the most. African is African, and developing countries in Asia are being hit by that. So really, the lesson that we should actually be looking into is not really looking into what this country should be doing to preserve their material, for example, for the future. I can see if we depend on renewables, at a time we would reach where countries, Australia, for example, or countries who have copper, will say, okay, this is natural resources, and we would like to keep it for us. Now, Africa don't have, for example, or even Europe. So, and some international issues, conflicts, would come as a result of us today internationally that are not agreeing on a common strategy that we should all together. Now we have Paris Agreement, and I believe that there are issues in Paris Agreements that are not actually binding countries to participate. They given them the chance. That is why United
There's no consequence, right?
Exactly. United States, some 8-7 years ago, they said, thank you very much, we are not in. And any other country could say that at any time. So where are we going to be with all what we have? So I think it is very essential that we have a strategy that is binding everyone, small or big. Saudi, United States, Europe, everybody should actually be on that, because we are in a single boat, and we're facing the same difficulties, the same impact, whether you are in the coast of the East Coast, or you are in Africa, or wherever you are. The same issues, climate impact, would reach us all.
You know, it's interesting what you said. I had a guest the other day, and he is a space specialist, and he said people don't realize that we are like on a spaceship and we cannot get out, and we are all in the same spaceship. And I thought it was such a beautiful description of, because we never think about it that way, right? Because people think in their own limited environment. And you obviously you are super active on the international scene to influence global leaders and to partner better. What are some of the areas where if you choose, you can share with the audience, what is it what you're doing in order to shift the needle on the international stage to influence and to bring more consequences into the process? And obviously, because you said the 100 billion, it's such a sad story, if I can say it myself, that, there was a commitment done and we don't even know where it is, right? So I would want to know, what is it what you personally do and how you're trying to move the needle?
I believe that we have a good start by having at least an agreement that we agree on.
That's
and
true.
This agreement is not a Bible. This Paris Agreement is not a holy Bible. It is man-made. Now we know that there are some issues that need to be tackled, and during the last 8 years, and where Paris Agreement is on the go, we've realized, government realized all over the world that there are something missing, and this missing needs to be implemented. And how do we implement it if it is not binding the countries? I think there are issues. I give you an example. On Scotland, on the COP26, Glasgow, about 90 countries agreed on methane, for example, and only half of that ratified once they left Glasgow.
Right.
Now, why do we keep hammering carbon dioxide while we know that there are other potent gases that are effective and that are more potent than carbon dioxide, and we don't agree on? I think we really need to have our needle right. If we are fighting the climate change, we really need to look into what is it that is impacting our atmosphere. What is that impacting? Even if we go to the basic knowledge, I think that we have actually deserted the knowledge and we started going for practice. And that is where we went wrong. Now, we have to get back to knowledge, and you find knowledge not in the industry, copying industry from here and there. Knowledge goes back to institution and research institutions. If we get on board those researchers and institutions that are actually making our way right, based on knowledge, based on not only based on experience. I would give you maybe an example of the thing that we do today. Today, almost all countries are running after hydrogen. Almost everybody is looking into hydrogen. I was in Egypt last week speaking on hydrogen, and I felt that I was alone. I really was alone, thinking far away from what I have been seeing. All the companies associated with the hydrogen, they would definitely speak with hydrogen, that it is the future fuel, and it is good, it is not impacting the environment, and this is not true. And even the organizers assuming that this is the way forward, but it is not. Now, hydrogen is not a gas that we can like other gases that we see it on the atmosphere. It is a compound, and we have to get the gas somewhere else, from methane or from ammonia or from water, from somewhere where hydrogen exists. And now this process is not fossil free. It's not
clean,
pollutant free. It is not emission free. Actually, I was doing a little bit of work on the impact of hydrogen. Today, the last 10 years, the nitrous oxide has increased double, and it is increasing 6% out of it every year. Now we don't know that it is only from from producing hydrogen as a result of washing ammonia and methane. But we know for sure that it is part of it. Now, how much it is, we can quantify it. It's easy to find out how much that hydrogen is adding to our emissions. It is. Now, the problem with us that we are looking into how much is produced of carbon dioxide. We say, oh, it is over than 70% of our emission is carbon dioxide. Yeah, that's true. But the impact of that, we have to go back to the global warming power of carbon dioxide.
Right.
Actually, the nitrous oxide is not only 300 times as potent as carbon dioxide. It is also bad for the ozone. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
No one would tell us about that. I think we really need to know if that is yes or no. Now, the other problem that the atmosphere is having nitrogen in a higher ratio, 76% nitrogen and 21% oxygen, and the rest is carbon dioxide and steam and water and other gases. Now, nitrogen is also not the best for our environment. Yes, it stabilizes our environment. But if it is mixed with the two main components on the atmosphere is fiddled with, that is oxygen, and that is the nitrous oxide is nothing but N2O.
Yes.
Two atoms of hydrogen and combining with oxygen. I think that is very essential to know, and that can only go back to the institutions.
Yeah.
We cannot get it from the industry, I'm afraid.
You know, it's really interesting, and I can't believe the time is running so fast. I have two more questions, but I want to, really comment on what you said. I think that we observe it as well in many publications, conferences, and so on, that there is such a, I would use the name woke movement about CO2, right? There's so much of concentration, but there seems to be a lack of understanding of the overall ecosystem and how it balances each other, right? And I think you touched on it, and I really like that as a takeaway. I think for me and also for the audience is, we cannot look at it in isolation, right? Not from a country level, but also from a impact level, because it's not just because everybody's now talking about the environment only in connection with CO2, because that's what the general public has in their mind. There is so many other components which we need to consider, which we need to look how they work together and how they impact our nature. I have one question, obviously, which I'm burning to ask, because we know that COP will start in a couple of weeks already, and everybody is super excited because UAE is hosting COP28. What are your personal expectations of what would you want COP28 to achieve?
Actually, the result is input related, and what we have seen during the last year since Sharm el-Sheikh is an activity of United Arab Emirates, all layers, people, students, leaders, those who are associated with the conference itself, with the COP itself. They were especially active for the last 10 months since Sharm el-Sheikh, and probably before that. And that would definitely affect the output, because what input is activities, real agreement on things. We don't want to reach a stage I pray for that, and I think the leadership in United Arab Emirates are aware of this, and that is why there are visits to many developing countries to get something acceptable. Because I'm sorry to say that, but the developing countries in Asia and Africa were ditched by industrial countries.
Oh,
for
of
the
course.
last 8 years. They promised them and they didn't fulfill it. In Sharm el-Sheikh, Mr. Guterres, the last minute managed to get their ideas together and agree on basic agreements to make Sharm el-Sheikh successful. Here we realized it earlier. I think the leadership realized it earlier, and we're working fine. However, they need to be supported by real deliveries.
Yes.
Now, the deliveries do not come from those who organize the event. The deliveries are from the 160 or 160
countries.
odd numbers of participants on this event. Do they really mean to make our global march goes beyond the transition of energy? Can we agree on this or not? That is other countries. But I think what we've done here in United Arab Emirates, superb. I really I'm amazed by the work that those who are engaged, how transparent they are, how active they are, and telling the audience the fact. And what I enjoy the most, that they are engaging youth
yes,
to really
there's a massive movement.
And that is a great message, that we really have those who would actually be hit harder, be aware of what has been done. And that is something nice to do. However, I hope that within this COP, like that what has been done in I think other countries, like in Glasgow, maybe in Qatar, we also introduced a new potent gas that we made it, I think, as part of our potent gases. I think we should actually be concentrating into, and I see the danger where it comes from. We might be managing with technology, we might be managing the carbon dioxide, because we've made even those who are actually 1 year old speak about the disastrous carbon dioxide. We make them believe that this is, to the extent that I have seen in Egypt once, one of the lecturer asking me, says, Abdullah, when are we going to get rid of carbon dioxide? And I was amazed to hear it, because carbon dioxide, without it, we cannot survive.
We can't survive. You would get rid of us if you get rid of carbon dioxide.
No, if it reached someone who would actually speaking to kids and boys and others, that we should actually get rid of that gas. I won't be surprised to see 10 years from today that people speak about nitrous oxide as more potent. It is 300 times as much as potent as
CO2.
And some also other gases that are 23,000 times as potent in the global warming. We really need to look into how, not only how much it is, we really need to look into the global impact, the global impact of it. How much is it? So now we have said over 100 years, carbon dioxide is 1, 30 times methane, 300 times carbon. There are some gases, believe it or not, 23,000 times as potent as carbon dioxide. And we don't speak
about it. Exactly.
We don't talk about it, but that is seeping through. And in decades or two, we might be able to control carbon dioxide, but we would have a bigger issue by having other gases that are more serious and more disastrous. But they are also useless to human beings. Things like nitrous is not useful. The fluoride is not also useful. Yeah, we can change it by another gas for heating, for cooling, and so forth. Other gases could be introduced that there are less potent and can make our life easier. But we really need to be transparent.
You know, I would have loved to talk to you for another hour, but our time is almost done. And we started on the personal level, and I want to finish on a personal as well. You know, I'm a parent. I have two boys, 13 and 11, and I know that you are a super strong supporter on the STEM education program and really build the generation of the future. What is the one message you would like to leave us as the listeners and the viewers, as parents, for their children and for the kids of the future, what we can do on a personal level to obviously make a positive impact to the planet?
STEM education and STEAM as
and
well.
STEAM, yes.
And STEAM as well are very important because we integrate all sciences together and make our kids understand what is going on. If without telling them what is going on, they would just be at a time when they would really need to be aware of things. They would be just like most of us, that we are not aware of what's happening around us. And I think in some countries like United States, they are actually motivating STEM education, and they are also making it a real life. And I believe that we really need to engage our kids with the impact of climate today. At least they would know what they are facing tomorrow. If we don't tell them, if we keep singing the same song that carbon dioxide is your enemy, they would assume that carbon dioxide is no longer there. And then maybe when your kid is 20 or 30 years, carbon dioxide would not. Exactly like the ozone, when we had the carbon fluoride at the time, that is actually affecting the ozone. Today, right. We are off the hook. People don't talk about it. We'll not talk about carbon dioxide. They will not know that there are impact of that. But they would be surprised to see that there are other gases that are potent, and they would actually be singing the song like what we have done again. I think it is very essential in our STEM education to engage them in what is good and what is bad in the environment. Sustainability is essential. If you don't actually get them right in the sustainability and how sustainable they should be and how the society should be sustainable, we would actually copying what has our parents copied.
Thank you very, very much. I want to wrap the conversation up. This was really captivating, and I'm sure that the audience, is really reminded of what the governments and also what we individual can have an impact on the world. I think your journey from engineering to government leadership, and coupled with this massive passion of mentorship, serves such a great reminder of potential and an inspiration of a constant reinvention and an impact. I really enjoyed how frank you are about the topics and how passionate you are, and your commitment to nurture future generation of climate leaders. It's really admirable. So I want to express my heartfelt gratitude and thanks for being with us and gracing us with your expertise and wisdom. Once again, your passion and you're so straightforward, and you just say it the way it is. And I think we need more people around the tables who are like you, and we can get inspired by everything you said. So to our listeners, remember that the change begins with us. And to everybody who has children on this podcast, make sure that you invest their time into STEM and STEAM education to, as His Excellency said, build a proper new generation which clearly understand what's good and bad. So please stay tuned for more engaging ESG discussion. Until next time, this is Andrea Pražáková signing off, and goodbye and take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.